The heart monitor flatlined. Marcus Wellington's world shattered in that single endless tone. He gripped his wife Catherine's hand tighter, as if his desperate hold could anchor her soul to this world. But no amount of money, or connection, or even power could rewrite what the machines were telling him. Time of death: 11:47 p.m., Christmas Eve. The doctor's words barely registered. Marcus stared at Catherine's peaceful face, and somewhere in the chaos of his breaking heart, he heard his 8-year-old daughter Sarah sobbing in the hallway. "You promised, Daddy. You promised you'd fix Mommy." 1 year later, Marcus sat in his corner office on the 45th floor of Wellington Tech Corp, staring at the city lights below. Snow fell silently against the windows. It was Christmas Eve again, but also the anniversary of everything ending. "Mr. Wellington?" His assistant Jennifer's voice crackled through the intercom. "Your car is ready. The hospital is expecting you at 6. He didn't respond immediately. His eyes drifted to the Santa suit hanging on the back of his door, a red velvet fabric that felt like a costume for a role he no longer wanted to play. "Marcus." Jennifer's voice softened. She'd worked for him for 12 years, so of course she knew what today was. "You don't have to go," she admitted softly. "I'm sure they'd understand." Marcus sighed, glancing at the suit again before speaking. "My Catherine started this tradition," he said flatly, "and so I'll honor it." He stood, grabbed the suit, and headed for the elevator. The building was nearly empty. Everyone had gone home to their families, to their intact lives, to their futures that hadn't been amputated by loss. His driver waited outside. "St. Mary's Children's Hospital, sir?" Marcus nodded and climbed into the back seat. As the car pulled into traffic, his phone buzzed. His best friend and COO, David Henley, had texted. "Are you sure about this, Marcus? I can always go instead." Marcus typed back, "I'm fine." David responded immediately. "You haven't been fine in a year. Just call me after." Marcus pocketed his phone and stared out the window. Families walked the sidewalks, carrying shopping bags while laughing. A father lifted his daughter onto his shoulders. The little girl wore a red coat and waved at the Christmas lights. Marcus looked away, his heart crumpling. Meanwhile, across town, in a cramped 2-bedroom apartment in the Mission District, 7-year-old Elena Rodriguez knelt beside her bed. Hands clasped, eyes squeezed shut. "Dear God," she whispered, "please make Mommy better. She says she's just tired, but I know she's sick. I hear her crying at night. Please, God. She's all I have." Elena opened her eyes and looked at the photo on her nightstand. It was a picture of her and her mother, Sophia, at the beach last summer. Both grinning, covered in sand, the sun setting behind them. That was before her mother started getting sick. Before she started missing Elena's school events. Before she began losing weight and moving slower. "Mija," Sophia's weak voice called from the bedroom. "Are you still awake?" Elena jumped up and ran to her mother's room. Sophia lay in bed, her beautiful face now gaunt and pale, dark circles under her eyes that no amount of makeup could hide anymore. "I'm here, Mommy." Elena climbed onto the bed carefully, afraid to hurt her. Sophia wrapped her arm around her daughter and pulled her close. "Tell me about school today. Did you finish your Christmas card for Mrs. Patterson?" "Yes, I drew a snowman and a Christmas tree. But, Mommy," Elena's voice dropped to a whisper, "when are you going to the doctor? You promised." Sophia's smile faltered. "Soon, mija. Very soon," Sophia managed to say, but Elena wasn't having it. "But, Mommy, you keep saying soon." Tears welled in Elena's eyes. "You're getting worse. I can tell." "Elena," Sophia started, but Elena cut her off. "I'm not stupid, Mommy. You can't even walk to the kitchen without stopping. And I saw the pill bottles you try to hide." Sophia's own eyes filled with tears. She pulled Elena tighter. "I'm so sorry, sweetheart. I didn't want you to worry. Then go to the doctor." "It's complicated, mija." "Why is it complicated?" Sophia grumbled. "You're a nurse. You tell everyone else to see doctors, but yet when it's your turn you don't want to." Sophia closed her eyes. How could she explain to her 7-year-old daughter that she'd been to the doctor? That she'd received a diagnosis that had stolen the air from her lungs? That the cancer ravaging her body required treatment she couldn't afford? That her insurance company had denied every appeal? There was no way Sophia could explain all that to Elena. So instead, she whispered, I love you so much, mija. More than anything in this world. Elena buried her face in her mother's chest. I love you too, Mommy. I really wish I could make you better. You make me better every day, just by being you. They lay together in the darkness, Sophia stroking Elena's hair, both pretending tomorrow wouldn't come with its impossible questions and unbearable answers. But at that point, they didn't care. Marcus arrived at St. Mary's Children's Hospital at exactly 6 p.m. The lobby had been transformed into a winter wonderland, fake snow, twinkling lights, and a massive Christmas tree in the corner. Volunteers wore elf costumes. Christmas music played softly through speakers. It all felt obscene. Mr. Wellington. Hospital Director Patricia Morrison rushed over, beaming. We're so grateful you could make it again this year. The children are so excited. Marcus forced a smile. Of course. I know this must be difficult, Patricia said quietly, her professional cheer dropping for just a moment. She was such a light here. We all miss her terribly. Thank you. Marcus's jaw tightened. He didn't want to talk about Catherine, especially not to a total stranger. Well, Santa's workshop is all set up in the pediatric wing. Whenever you're ready. Patricia gestured toward the elevators. Marcus nodded and made his way upstairs, the Santa suit feeling heavier with each step. He changed in a private room, adjusting the beard, the hat, the belt. In the mirror, he saw a hollow man playing pretend. The workshop was elaborate. Catherine had insisted on it being magical. A golden throne, wrapped presents stacked high, snow machines creating gentle flurries. 20 children waited in line with their parents, nurses, and caregivers. Marcus took his seat. Ho, 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 he said mechanically. The first child approached, a 6-year-old boy with a bald head and an IV pole. Marcus's chest tightened. Hi, Santa, the boy said shyly. Hello there. What's your name? Timothy. I'm 6. I want a race car for Christmas, the kind that goes really fast. Marcus smiled, a real one, despite himself. I think that can be arranged. Have you been a good boy this year? The best, the boy squealed excitedly. Then I'll make sure my elves know. Marcus handed Timothy a wrapped gift from the pile beside him. Timothy's face lit up. Thank you, Santa. For the next hour, Marcus went through the motions. Each child brought their wishes, their hopes, their innocent belief that magic still existed in the world. And each time, Marcus felt something crack a little more inside his chest. A girl wanted her father to come home from deployment. A boy wanted his baby sister to stop being sick. A teenager wanted to go home for Christmas instead of spending it in the hospital. Marcus listened to them all, nodding and promising that he'd do his best, knowing full well he was just a man in a costume, powerless against the real monsters that haunted these halls, like disease, poverty, and loss. All right, Santa. It's the last kid, an elf volunteer called out cheerfully. Marcus glanced at his watch. 7:45 p.m. Almost done. He could go home, pour himself a drink, and try to forget another Christmas Eve. But then she walked in. A little girl, maybe 7 or 8, with long dark hair and enormous brown eyes that were red from crying. She wore a faded pink jacket and clutched a worn photograph in her small hands. No parent accompanied her. No nurse. She'd come alone. Something about her made Marcus sit up straighter. Hello there, he said gently. What's your name? The little girl approached slowly, her chin trembling. When she reached the throne, she didn't climb onto his lap like the others. She just stood there, staring at him with desperate eyes. Are you the real Santa? She whispered. Marcus's throat tightened. What makes you ask that? Because I need a miracle, she said plainly, yet he could still hear the desperation in her tone. Marcus leaned forward. Why don't you come sit down and tell me about it? Elena climbed onto his lap, and suddenly she was sobbing, deep, body-shaking sobs that came from somewhere ancient and terrified. Hey, it's okay, Marcus said, his own voice cracking. He hadn't held a crying child in a year. Not since Sarah. Take a deep breath. I'm listening. Elena gulped air, trying to compose herself. My name is Elena Rodriguez, and my mommy is dying. The words hit Marcus like a physical blow. The doctors say she has cancer. A bad kind. And she needs treatment, but it costs too much money and the insurance won't pay, and she only has a few months, and Elena's words tumbled out in a desperate rush. Everyone says you're not real. They say Santa is just pretend. But my mommy always told me that if you believe hard enough and you're good enough, then Christmas miracles can happen. She thrust the photograph toward him with shaking hands. This is my mommy. Her name is Sofia Rodriguez. She's at St. Vincent Hospital. She's the best mommy in the whole world. She takes care of everyone. She's a nurse. But now nobody can take care of her because we don't have enough money and... Elena, sweetheart, slow down. Please. Elena grabbed the front of his Santa suit with both fists, her tear-stained face looking up at him with pure, desperate faith. Please, Santa. I know you can do anything. I know you have magic. Please give me a Christmas miracle and heal my mommy. She's all I have. I don't have a daddy and Grandma is old and I can't lose mommy. I can't. I'll be good forever. I'll never ask for anything ever again. I'll do anything. Please, please, please heal my mommy. Marcus couldn't breathe. He stared at this little girl, this stranger, and saw his own daughter. Heard Sarah's voice begging him to save Catherine. Felt the same crushing helplessness that had nearly destroyed him. Elena. His voice came out hoarse and he couldn't go on. You're my last hope, Elena whispered, pressing the photograph into his hands. Everyone else says there's nothing they can do. But you're Santa. You can do anything, right? Marcus looked down at the photograph. A beautiful woman with Elena's eyes smiled back at him, holding her daughter on a beach at sunset. They looked happy, whole, untouched by the darkness that was coming for them. His hands trembled. Please, Elena whispered one more time. Please give me my Christmas miracle. Marcus couldn't speak. His throat had closed completely. He stared at the photograph, then at Sofia Rodriguez's smiling face, and felt something he thought had died with Catherine stir painfully in his chest. Sir, one of the elf volunteers approached hesitantly. Is everything okay? Elena wiped her eyes with the back of her hand, suddenly looking embarrassed. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to cry so much. My grandma says I'm not supposed to bother people with our problems. You're not bothering me, Marcus managed to say. Elena, where is your grandmother? Does she know you're here? Elena's face flushed. She thinks I'm at my friend Maria's house. I took the bus. I had to find you. Tomorrow's Christmas, and I thought if I didn't ask you tonight, it would be too late. You took the bus alone at night. Marcus felt a spike of concern cut through his paralysis. I had to. Elena's chin lifted with fierce determination. Mommy doesn't know how sick she really is. The doctors were telling Grandma when she was sleeping and I overheard them talking. They said she has maybe 3 months. 3 months, Santa. That's only. Her brave face crumbled again. That's not enough time. I haven't taught her how to do my hair for middle school yet. She's supposed to see me graduate to high school. Grandma says Mommy is supposed to meet my kids someday. She's supposed to. Marcus pulled Elena into a hug before he could stop himself. She was so small, so fragile, carrying a weight no child should ever have to bear. It's not fair, Elena sobbed into his shoulder. She's so good. She helps everyone. Why is God letting this happen to her? Marcus closed his eyes. I don't know, sweetheart. I don't know. They sat like that for a long moment, this broken billionaire and this desperate child, both drowning in the same impossible grief. Finally, Elena pulled back. So, can you help? Can you give me my miracle? Marcus looked into her hopeful eyes and wanted to die. How could he tell her the truth? That Santa wasn't real. That miracles were just stories people told themselves to survive the unbearable. That he'd had all the money in the world and still couldn't save the woman he loved. Elena, he stopped, unable to go on. I knew it. Elena's face hardened with disappointment. You're just like everyone else. You can't help. Nobody can. That's not what I was going to say. Then what? Elena challenged. Are you going to tell me to pray? To hope? To believe? I've done all that. I pray every single night. I've been good all year. I believed with my whole heart and nothing's changed. Mommy's still dying. Her words echoed through the workshop. Other volunteers had stopped what they were doing. watching the scene unfold with uncomfortable expressions. Marcus made a decision he didn't fully understand. "Give me the photograph," he said quietly. Elena handed it over, suspicion and hope warring in her eyes. Marcus studied it carefully, memorizing every detail. "Your mother is at St. Vincent Hospital downtown?" "Yes, room 412. Elena said, "But they won't let me visit much because I'm too young and she's too sick." "What kind of cancer does she have?" Marcus asked. Elena blinked. The doctor used a big word. I wrote it down. She dug into her jacket pocket and pulled out a crumpled piece of paper. Osteosarcoma, with metastasis. Elena's face scrunched up. I don't know what that means, but the nurse's face looked really sad when she said it. Marcus's blood ran cold. Osteosarcoma with metastasis. The very same cancer that had killed Catherine. "Elena," he said carefully, "I need you to do something for me. I need you to go home to your grandmother right now. Don't tell anyone you came here. Can you do that?" "Why? Are you going to help?" "I'm going to try. But I need time too." He thought quickly. "To talk to my elves and see what's possible." "How do I know you're telling the truth?" Marcus pulled out his phone, an odd sight in Santa's hands, and opened a new contact. "What's your phone number?" Marcus asked, somehow forgetting that he was talking to a child. By the time he realized, Elena giggled. "I don't have a phone, silly, but I know my grandma's phone number." Marcus went slightly red. "Yeah, give me that instead." Elena recited a number, and Marcus saved it. "I'll call you," he said. "Within 3 days. I promise. But Christmas is tomorrow." Elena whined. "Then I'll call you on Christmas." "Elena, listen to me very carefully. Sometimes miracles take time. Sometimes they don't look the way we expect them to. But I promise you I'm going to do everything in my power to help your mother. Do you believe me?" Elena searched his face for a long moment. "You're not really Santa, are you?" Marcus felt his heart crack. "What makes you say that?" "Santa wouldn't need my phone number. He'd just know. And Santa wouldn't look so sad." She paused. "But it's nice to see someone who looks like they actually care." "I do care," Marcus said, and realized with shock that he meant it. "I care very much." "But why? You don't even know us." Marcus forced a smile. "Because someone I loved very much had the same sickness as your mother. And I couldn't save her. And I've spent the last year wishing I could go back and try harder, do more, find a way. Maybe I can't change the past. But maybe I can change your future." Elena threw her arms around his neck. "Thank you, Santa." Marcus held her tight. This stranger's child who'd somehow reached through his armor and touched something he thought had died. "Go home now," he whispered. "And Elena, don't give up. Not yet." She nodded and climbed down. At the door, she turned back. "What's your real name?" "Marcus. Marcus Wellington." A bright smile covered Elena's face. "Thank you, Mr. Wellington. Merry Christmas." "Merry Christmas, Elena." She disappeared into the hallway, and Marcus sat alone on Santa's throne, staring at the photograph in his hands. His heart pounded. His mind raced. This was insane. He couldn't get involved. He couldn't open himself up to this kind of pain again. But even as he thought it, he was already reaching for his phone. Marcus returned to his penthouse at 9 p.m. But he didn't pour himself a drink. He didn't turn on the lights. Instead, he sat in the darkness and made phone calls. "David? I need you to do something for me. No questions. Marcus, it's Christmas Eve. What's going on? I need you to pull medical records for a patient named Sofia Rodriguez at St. Vincent Hospital. Room 412. Osteosarcoma with metastasis. I need to know everything: the diagnosis, prognosis, treatment options, costs, insurance status. Everything." When he finished talking, there was total silence on the other end. Then, after a couple of seconds, David's voice came through again. "Marcus, you can't be serious. That's highly illegal without consent." "I'll get consent. I just need the information first." "Please, David, I'll explain later. This is about Catherine, isn't it?" David's voice dropped a tone. "Marcus, you can't save everyone." "You can't. I'm not trying to save everyone. I'm trying to save one person. Please, David. I've never asked you for anything like this." Another long pause. Give me 2 hours. Thank you. Marcus's next call was to Dr. Robert Harrison, his former personal physician and Catherine's oncologist. Marcus? Good Lord, I didn't expect to hear from you tonight. How are you holding up? Robert, I need to ask you something. Osteosarcoma with metastasis. Is it treatable? That's a complicated question. Why are you asking? Please just answer me. Robert sighed. It depends on three important things: the staging, the location of metastasis, and the patient's overall health. A year ago, I would have said the prognosis was grim. But there's a doctor at New Johns Hopkins Hospital, Dr. Elizabeth Park, who's been pioneering a new treatment protocol. Apparently, it's a combination of targeted radiation, immunotherapy, and experimental drug cocktails. Her success rates have been remarkable, around 80% for cases caught early enough. Marcus's pulse quickened, and for advanced cases, still promising. Maybe 60 to 70% if the patient is strong enough to handle the treatment. But Marcus, this is cutting-edge medicine. It's expensive, intensive, and not widely available. How expensive? He asked immediately. For the full treatment course that includes surgery, medication, hospital stays, and aftercare, you're looking at $2 to $2.5 million. Most insurance companies won't touch it because it's still experimental. Marcus closed his eyes. And what if money wasn't an object? Then I'd say the patient would have a fighting chance. Marcus, is this about Catherine? Because you know we did everything. I know. This isn't about Catherine. Can you get me in touch with Dr. Park tonight? Tonight? Marcus, it's Christmas Eve. Robert, please. A little girl's mother is dying. The same cancer Catherine had. I can't stand by and do nothing. Robert's voice softened. Send me the patient information. I'll reach out to Elizabeth. She's a good person. If anyone will take a case on short notice, it's her. Thank you. Marcus hung up and stared at Sophia's photograph. What was he doing? This wasn't his responsibility. He didn't know this family anything. Getting involved would mean opening himself up to the possibility of failure again, of watching someone die despite his best efforts, of breaking that little girl's heart the way his daughter's had been broken. But Elena's words echoed in his mind. It's nice to see someone who looks like they actually care. His phone buzzed, and he checked to see it was David. I got the records. Marcus, this is bad. Really bad. How bad? He asked. Sophia Rodriguez, 32 years old, single mother, works as an ER nurse at St. Vincent and part-time at a diner to make ends meet. Diagnosed 3 weeks ago with osteosarcoma that's metastasized to her lungs and liver. She's been hiding it from most people, trying to keep working because she doesn't have disability coverage. Her insurance denied treatment coverage twice. They're classifying it as experimental and unnecessary. Unnecessary? Marcus's voice turned to ice. She's dying. I know. The doctors give her 3 to 6 months without treatment. With standard treatment, maybe a year. What's her financial situation? Barely surviving. She's got maybe $5,000 in savings. Credit cards are maxed. She took out a second mortgage on her apartment last year to pay for her mother's nursing home care. Marcus, even if she wanted to pursue treatment, she couldn't afford the gas to drive to Johns Hopkins, much less the millions in medical costs. Marcus stood and walked to his window, looking out at the glittering city. Somewhere out there, Sophia Rodriguez was lying in a hospital bed, probably pretending to sleep so the nurses wouldn't see her cry. Somewhere, Elena was praying for a miracle that seemed impossible. David, I need you to set up a meeting with our legal team tomorrow. I don't care if you have to drag them away from their families. What are you planning? I'm going to create a foundation, a medical grant program, something that can cover Sophia's treatment without it being traced back to me directly. Marcus, that's going to take weeks to set up properly, maybe even months. This woman doesn't have that kind of time. Then we do it improperly. We do it fast. We cut every corner we can ethically cut. David, I have $2 billion sitting in accounts doing nothing. It's funny because Catherine and I always talked about starting a foundation in Sarah's name. We just never got around to it. Sarah's name, David's voice cracked. Marcus, are you sure about this? The Sarah Wellington Foundation for Medical Miracles. We'll provide grants to families facing impossible medical costs. We'll start with Sofia Rodriguez. We'll save her life, and then we'll save more. As many as we can. This is going to cost millions. I don't care. The press will find out. They'll dig into why you're suddenly doing this. They'll discover the connection to Catherine's death. Let them. Marcus pressed his palm against the cold glass. I've spent a year hiding from the world, David. A year drowning in grief and guilt. And tonight, a 7-year-old girl reminded me that sometimes the only way to heal yourself is to help someone else. David was quiet for a moment. Catherine would be proud of you, he said finally. So what's the first step? Marcus turned from the window. Call Dr. Park. Tell her I'll fund her research for the next 5 years if she takes Sofia Rodriguez as a patient immediately. Call St. Vincent and arrange for a medical transfer. Call. Marcus, slow down. We have to do this carefully. If we move too fast, if we're not strategic, the hospital could refuse the transfer. Sofia could refuse treatment, and insurance companies could interfere. We need a plan. Fine. Come over. Bring whoever you need. We'll work through the night if we have to. It's Christmas Eve. I don't care what day it is. A little girl asked me for a miracle. I'm going to give her one. Christmas morning dawned cold and gray. Sofia Rodriguez woke to the sound of machines beeping and the antiseptic smell of the hospital. For a moment, she forgot where she was. Then the pain reminded her. She touched her side gently, feeling the swelling. The cancer was growing faster now. She could feel it, a dark presence spreading through her body like poison. The doctors had stopped pretending she had time. Her phone buzzed on the bedside table. A text from her mother. Elena is asking when she can visit. What should I tell her? Sofia closed her eyes. Elena, her beautiful, brave little girl who deserved so much more than a dying mother and a childhood spent in hospital waiting rooms. She typed back, tell her soon. Tell her mommy loves her. Tell her. A knock interrupted her thoughts. Dr. Patricia Owens entered, but she wasn't alone. A man in an expensive suit followed her, carrying a tablet and briefcase. Sofia, good morning. Merry Christmas, Dr. Owens said, though her expression was serious. This is James Mitchell. He's a hospital administrator. He needs to speak with you about something important. Sofia struggled to sit up, her heart racing. Is something wrong? Is this about my bill? I know I'm behind, but I have a payment plan. Mrs. Rodriguez, please calm down, James said gently. This isn't about collections. Quite the opposite, actually. I don't understand. Dr. Owens pulled up a chair and sat beside the bed. Sofia, something extraordinary has happened. Late last night, our hospital received a call from Johns Hopkins Hospital in Maryland. They have a specialist, Dr. Elizabeth Park, who's been pioneering a new treatment for osteosarcoma. Sophia's breath caught. I know about Dr. Park. My oncologist mentioned her. But the treatment is experimental. My insurance won't cover it, and I can't possibly afford to. That's what I need to talk to you about, James interrupted. A private foundation has approved an emergency medical grant to cover your full treatment. Surgery, medication, hospital transfers, aftercare, everything. The room spun. No, that's not possible. Those grants take months to process. I applied to 6 different foundations, and they all said, this is a new foundation, the Sarah Wellington Foundation for Medical Miracles. They've specifically selected your case as their first recipient. Wellington. Sophia's mind raced. I don't know anyone named Wellington. Why would they choose me? This doesn't make sense. Dr. Owens leaned forward. Sofia, does it matter? You have a chance. A real chance at survival. Dr. Park has an 80% success rate with patients in your situation. The foundation is offering to cover everything. We're talking about over $2 million in treatment costs. $2 million. Sofia felt like she couldn't breathe. This has to be a mistake. Things like this don't happen to people like me. It's not a mistake, James said firmly. The paperwork is already being processed. A medical transport helicopter will be here this afternoon to take you to Johns Hopkins. Dr. Park wants to begin treatment immediately. Every day counts. This afternoon? But Elena. I can't just leave. She'll be terrified. And my mother. We can arrange for your family to fly out commercial tomorrow, James assured her. The foundation is covering all travel and accommodation expenses. Sophia, I know this is overwhelming, but you need to make a decision quickly. The window for this treatment is narrow. Sophia's hands trembled. I need to think. I need to talk to my daughter and mother. I need to. Mom, a small voice came from the doorway. Everyone turned. Elena stood there with Sophia's mother, Maria, both of them staring in confusion at the crowded hospital room. Elena, Sophia's voice cracked. Baby, what are you doing here? Elena rushed to the bedside, her face bright with excitement. Grandma said I could visit for a little bit. It's Christmas. I brought you a present. She held up a crudely wrapped package. Sophia pulled her daughter close, breathing in her shampoo scent, trying not to cry. Thank you, sweetheart. That's so sweet. What's happening? Maria asked, her weathered face suspicious. Who are these people? Mrs. Rodriguez, I'm James Mitchell. We were just explaining to your daughter that she's been approved for medical treatment at Johns Hopkins Hospital. A foundation has agreed to cover all costs. Maria's eyes widened. What foundation? How is this possible? Grandma, Elena grabbed her grandmother's hand. It's the miracle. I told you. I asked Santa and he said he'd help, and now Mommy's going to get better. Elena, sweetie, this has nothing to do with Santa, Sophia started. Yes, it does. Elena insisted. I went to see him on Christmas Eve, and I told him about you, and he promised to help, and now this is happening. It's a Christmas miracle. Sophia exchanged glances with her mother. Elena, what do you mean you went to see Santa? What are you talking about? Elena's face flushed. I took the bus to St. Mary's Hospital. They have a Santa there every Christmas Eve. I asked him to heal you. You what? Sophia and Maria said in unison. I'm sorry, but I had to. Everyone kept saying there was nothing they could do, but I thought if I could find the real Santa, if I believed hard enough. Elena Rodriguez, you took the bus alone? At night. Maria's voice rose, cutting her off. Do you have any idea how dangerous that is? I'm sorry, Grandma, but it worked. Look, Mommy's getting help now. Dr. Owens cleared her throat. Perhaps we should give the family some privacy to discuss this. Sophia, you don't have to decide this second, but we do need an answer within the next few hours. She and James left, closing the door behind them. Sophia pulled Elena onto the bed, her heart torn between anger and love. Baby, you can't ever do something like that again. You could have been hurt. Something terrible could have happened to you. But nothing bad happened. And I met Mr. Wellington, and he said he'd help, and he did. Mr. Wellington? Maria repeated. The Santa's name was Wellington? That was his real name. Marcus Wellington. He was sad, Grandma. Really, really sad. He told me someone he loved had the same sickness as Mommy, and he couldn't save her. But he said maybe he could save Mommy instead. Sophia felt tears streaming down her face. Elena, this foundation that's helping me, it's called the Sarah Wellington Foundation. Who's Sarah? Elena asked. I don't know, baby. I don't know. But even as she said it, Sophia understood. Someone named Marcus Wellington had lost someone named Sarah. And somehow, her daughter's desperate plea had reached through his grief and sparked something. A stranger was saving her life because a 7-year-old girl had believed in miracles. Mommy, are you going to do it? Elena whispered. Are you going to let them help you? Sophia looked at her daughter's hopeful face, at her mother's tears, at the possibility of a future she'd thought was lost. Yes, she whispered. Yes, I'm going to do it. Elena threw her arms around her mother's neck. I knew it. I knew Santa was real. I knew miracles could happen. Sophia held her daughter tight and prayed Elena was right. If you've been touched by this story so far, please hit that like button and subscribe to our channel. We bring you uplifting, emotional stories every week that remind us of the power of hope and human kindness. Don't miss what happens next. This miracle is only just beginning. Across the city, Marcus sat in his office surrounded by legal documents, contracts, and medical files. David had brought in 3 lawyers, 2 accountants, and a medical logistics coordinator. They'd worked through the night, fueled by coffee and the urgency of saving a life. The foundation is officially established, David announced. We've expedited the paperwork through every channel we could. The initial funding is in place. $50 million to start. $50 million. One of the lawyers, Jennifer Hayes, looked up sharply. Marcus, are you certain about this commitment? I'm certain. What about the medical transfer? Arranged, said the logistics coordinator, Karen Patel. A helicopter will be at St. Vincent at 2 p.m. Dr. Park's team is prepped and ready. We've secured a private room at Johns Hopkins and arranged for family accommodations nearby. What if Sophia refuses? David asked quietly. The question hung in the air. Marcus hadn't allowed himself to consider it. She won't, he said, though his voice lacked certainty. She can't. This is her only chance. She might have questions about why you're doing this, Jennifer pointed out. She might be suspicious of a stranger's generosity. People don't usually give away millions without wanting something in return. I don't want anything except for her to get better. Yeah, but she doesn't know that, David noted. Marcus stood abruptly and walked to the window. The city below celebrated Christmas, families together, children playing with new toys, people who still believed the world could be good. Then I'll tell her myself. Marcus, that's not advisable, Jennifer said quickly. The more distance you maintain, the cleaner this stays legally. If you get personally involved. I'm already personally involved. Marcus turned to face them. A little girl came to me begging for help. I looked her in the eyes and promised I'd try. I can't hide behind lawyers and paperwork. If Sophia has questions, then she deserves answers. David stood too. Then I'm coming with you. You don't have to. Yes, I do. You're my best friend, and you're about to do something either incredibly brave or incredibly stupid. Either way, you shouldn't do it alone. Marcus nodded gratefully. 2 hours later, Marcus and David stood outside room 412 at St. Vincent Hospital. Marcus's heart hammered against his ribs. He'd faced boardrooms full of hostile executives, given speeches to thousands, negotiated billion-dollar deals. But none of it compared to the terror of facing Sophia Rodriguez. You ready? David asked. No, Marcus admitted. Good. That means you're human. David knocked on the door. Come in, a woman's voice called. They entered. Sophia sat propped up in bed. Elena curled beside her, both of them watching a Christmas movie on the small TV. An older woman sat in a chair knitting. Elena saw Marcus first. Her face lit up like a sunrise. Mr. Wellington. She scrambled off the bed and ran to him. Mommy, this is him. This is the Santa I told you about. Sophia's eyes widened as she took in Marcus' expensive suit, commanding presence, but a face marked by grief and determination. Mr. Wellington, she said carefully, I understand I have you to thank for everything. Marcus stepped forward, suddenly feeling like an intruder. Mrs. Rodriguez, I don't want to disturb you. I just wanted to make sure you had everything you needed, and to answer any questions you might have. I do. I have a lot of questions. Sophia's voice was polite but firm. Please sit. Marcus and David pulled up chairs. Elena climbed back onto the bed, beaming. Maria set down her knitting, watching Marcus with sharp, evaluating eyes. First question, Sophia began. Why me? You don't know me, and you've never met me until this moment. Why would you spend millions of dollars on a complete stranger? Marcus had prepared for this, but now, facing her, all his prepared answers felt hollow. To be honest, it's partly because your daughter asked me to, he said simply, and partly because I understand what she's facing in a way I wish I didn't. Sophia softened just a bit. Elena told me about Sarah. I'm sorry for your loss. Thank you. But grief doesn't usually inspire people to bankroll experimental cancer treatments for strangers. There has to be more to it. Maria added quickly. Marcus glanced at Elena, who watched him with absolute trust. All right. The truth is, my wife Catherine died exactly 1 year ago. Christmas Eve. The very same cancer you have. And I spent that year drowning in guilt because despite all my money, all my resources, all my connections, I couldn't save her. I'd give anything to go back and try harder, do more, and hopefully find a way. His voice cracked. David put a hand on his shoulder. I can't save Catherine, Marcus continued. But when Elena came to me, when she looked at me with the same desperate hope my daughter had, I realized maybe I could do for you what I couldn't do for my wife. Maybe I could give Elena what Sarah never got, her mother's survival. Sophia's eyes filled with tears. Mr. Wellington, please call me Marcus. Sophia took a deep breath. Marcus, this is beyond generous, beyond anything I could ever repay. But I have to ask, what happens if the treatment doesn't work? What if I go through all this and I still die? Elena will have gotten her hopes up. She'll believe in this miracle and then she'll know that at least someone tried, Marcus interrupted gently. She'll know someone cared enough to fight for you. She'll know her mother did everything possible to stay with her. Isn't that better than giving up without trying? I'm not giving up. I've been trying to figure out how to afford treatment for weeks. I've been applying for grants, loans, anything. I know. I saw your applications. You've been fighting with everything you have. But now you don't have to fight alone. Let me help. Let the foundation help. This is what Catherine would have wanted. This is what Sarah would have wanted. Sophia looked at her daughter, who nodded encouragingly. She looked at her mother, who wiped tears from her weathered cheeks. Then she looked back at Marcus. Okay, she whispered. Okay, I'll do it. But I need you to promise me something. Anything. If this doesn't work, if I don't make it, promise me you'll help Elena understand it wasn't her fault. Promise me you'll make sure she knows that believing in miracles isn't wrong, even when they don't come true. Marcus's throat tightened. It's going to work. You can't know that, she answered honestly. You're right. I can't. But I can promise that if the worst happens, I'll make sure Elena is taken care of. That she'll have everything she needs, education, support, whatever she requires. I'll set up a trust. You have my word. Sophia sobbed once, pressing her hand to her mouth. Why are you doing this? No one is supposed to be this generous. Marcus looked at Elena, who'd crawled into her mother's arms. You should be thanking her, he said with a soft smile. That little girl reminded me that sometimes the only way to heal a broken heart is to keep it open. Even when it hurts. Even when you're terrified. You keep it open and you help someone else. And maybe, just maybe, you find your way back to being human again. Elena reached out and took Marcus's hand. Thank you for saving my mommy. Thank you for reminding me why it matters. A few minutes later, the helicopter blades cut through the winter air with deafening precision. Sophia gripped the sides of the stretcher, her heart racing as the ground disappeared below them. Through the window, she watched San Francisco become smaller, the Golden Gate Bridge a toy in the distance. Mommy, Elena's voice crackled through the headset they'd given her. Are you scared? Sophia turned her head. Elena sat strapped in beside her, holding her grandmother's hand, eyes wide with a mixture of fear and excitement. The medical team had initially refused to let them fly together, but Marcus had made a phone call and suddenly exceptions were made. A little bit scared, Sophia admitted, but mostly I'm hopeful, baby. Me too. Elena squeezed her hand. Mr. Wellington said Dr. Park is the best doctor in the whole world. Marcus had stayed behind in San Francisco, but his presence seemed to follow them. The pilot had handed Sophia a phone before takeoff, a direct line to Marcus programmed with just one number. In case you need anything, the pilot had said. Anything at all. Sophia still couldn't process it. 24 hours ago, she'd been dying alone, keeping her diagnosis secret, while planning how to say goodbye to her daughter. Now she was flying across the country toward cutting-edge treatment, surrounded by a medical team that treated her like she actually mattered. Approaching Johns Hopkins, the pilot announced. ETA 5 minutes. Sophia closed her eyes and prayed. Dr. Elizabeth Park waited on the helipad, her white coat whipping in the wind. She was younger than Sophia expected, maybe 40, with sharp, intelligent eyes and a confident stance that immediately put Sophia at ease. As the medical team wheeled Sophia's stretcher toward the elevator, Dr. Park fell into step right beside her. Mrs. Rodriguez, I'm Dr. Park. Welcome to Johns Hopkins. Thank you for taking my case on such short notice. I know Christmas is exactly when miracles are supposed to happen, Dr. Park interrupted with a slight smile. Besides, Marcus Wellington is funding my research for the next 5 years. The least I can do is save his friend's life. We're not friends. We just met yesterday. Dr. Park's expression grew thoughtful. Marcus doesn't throw around millions of dollars for strangers. Whatever happened between you two, it must have meant something to him. That man has been dead inside for a year. They reached a private room, spacious, with a view of the Baltimore skyline, nothing like the cramped space at St. Vincent. A nurse immediately began setting up equipment while another checked Sophia's vitals. Elena and Maria were shown to a nearby family suite. But Elena refused to leave until she'd kissed her mother goodnight. I love you, Mommy. You're going to be okay. I know it. I love you too, Mija, so much. After they left, Dr. Park pulled up a chair and opened a tablet filled with medical scans and data. I'm not going to sugarcoat this, Sophia. Your cancer is aggressive and it's spread significantly. Under normal circumstances, I'd give you less than 6 months. But I don't deal in normal circumstances. What's the treatment plan? We start with targeted radiation tomorrow to shrink the primary tumor. Then we do surgery to remove as much of the cancer as we can. Following that, we begin an experimental immunotherapy protocol, combined with a drug cocktail that essentially teaches your immune system to recognize and attack cancer cells. The treatment will be brutal. You'll be sick, exhausted, and almost constantly in pain. But if it works, and I believe it will, you'll be cancer-free within 6 months. And if it doesn't work? Sophia asked. Dr. Park met her eyes directly. Then we try something else. And if that doesn't work, we try another approach. Dr. Park gripped her shoulder slightly. Sophia, I don't give up on my patients. Ever. But I need you to promise me something. What? Promise me that you won't give up either. No matter how hard it gets, no matter how much you want to quit, you keep fighting. For Elena. And for yourself. Can you promise me that? Sophia thought of her daughter's face, of all the moments she might miss. First dates, graduation, weddings, grandchildren. I promise, she said with determination. Good. Now get some rest. Tomorrow we go to war. Back in San Francisco, Marcus couldn't sleep. He sat in his home office at 2 a.m., staring at his phone, waiting for updates. David had finally gone home to his own family, but Marcus remained, unable to rest until he knew Sophia had arrived safely. His phone buzzed. Dr. Park. She's all settled in. We begin treatment in 8 hours. How is she? Scared, but determined. She's a fighter, Marcus, and she'll need to be. What are her real chances? Dr. Parr sighed. Honestly, with her current staging, maybe 65%. But I'm going to push that number higher. I don't lose my patience. Never have. Never will. Marcus smiled. Thank you. You're welcome. But can I ask you something? Go on. Marcus allowed. I heard about what happened to your wife. But why this woman? There are thousands of cancer patients out there. So what made Sofia Rodriguez different? Marcus was quiet for a long moment, but he known the answer all this time. Her daughter, Elena. She came to me believing I could perform miracles. And for the first time in a year, someone looked at me and saw possibility instead of pity. The poor girl was oblivious to my pain. She just knew she needed help and somehow believed I could give it to her. Marcus sighed at the thought. How could I possibly let her down? Dr. Park nodded in understanding. You're a good man, Marcus Wellington. Catherine would be proud. After they hung up, Marcus walked to his bedroom. He hadn't been inside in for months. He'd always end up sleeping in his office or on the living room couch, unable to face the space he'd once shared with Catherine. But tonight, he opened the door. The room was exactly as Catherine had left it. Her books on the nightstand, her robe hanging on the bathroom door, photographs of their family covering the dresser. Marcus picked up their wedding photo. Catherine smiling at him, radiant in white, her eyes full of love and hope for their future. A future that had been stolen far too soon. I couldn't save you, he whispered to the photograph, but maybe I can save her. Maybe that's how I keep you alive, by making sure other husbands don't lose their wives. Other daughters don't lose their mothers. He set the photo down gently and opened the closet. In the back, hidden behind Catherine's dresses, was a box. He pulled it out and opened it carefully. Inside were Sarah's things, drawings she'd made, a stuffed rabbit she'd slept with every night, A letter she'd written to Santa the Christmas before Catherine died. Marcus unfolded the letter with trembling hands. Dear Santa, my name is Sarah Wellington. I am 8 years old. I don't want toys this year. I only want one thing. Please make my mommy better. Daddy tries to smile, but I know he's scared. Mommy is so sick. The doctors can't help. But you can do magic, right? So please make my mommy better. That's all I want. Love, Sarah. Marcus pressed the letter to his chest and finally let himself cry. It wasn't the same hollow, numb tears he'd shed over the past year, but deep, wrenching sobs that came from a place he'd locked away. I'm so sorry, Sarah, he choked out. I'm so sorry I couldn't give you your miracle. But I'm going to give Elena hers. I promise. I'm going to make sure she doesn't know what it's like to lose her mother. I'm going to do for Elena what I couldn't do for you. He cried until there were no tears left, until the sun began to rise over the city, until he felt something shift inside him. It wasn't instant healing, but it was the beginning of it. A crack in the wall he'd built around his heart for the past year. His phone rang. Dr. Park again. Marcus, Sophia's asking for you. She wants to talk before we begin treatment. I'm on my way. Marcus booked the next flight to Baltimore. 3 hours later, he stood outside Sophia's room, suddenly nervous. Through the window, he could see her sitting up in bed, Elena beside her reading a book aloud with Maria knitting in the corner. A snapshot of a family trying to be normal in an impossible situation. He knocked softly. Come in, Sophia called. Marcus entered. Elena immediately jumped up and hugged him. Mr. Wellington, you came. Of course I came. He smiled. I wanted to check on your mom. Sophia smiled back, though she looked exhausted. Thank you. For everything. For being here. Where else would I be? Marcus chuckled. With your own family. Your daughter maybe. Marcus's expression flickered. My daughter Sarah died 6 months after Catherine. Complications from grief, the doctors said. But I think she just couldn't bear a world without her mother. I failed them both. The room went silent. Elena's eyes filled with tears. You lost your whole family? Yes, he added sadly. Then we'll be your family now, Elena declared. Right, Mommy? Sophia's eyes glistened. Elena, sweetheart. No, I mean it. Mr. Wellington is all alone and we need help, and families help each other. That's what you always say. So now we're a family. Marcus knelt down to Elena's level. That's very kind of you. But I don't want you to feel obligated. That's a big word, Mr. Wellington, but that's not it. I feel like it's right. Elena took his hand. And besides, you need us too. You're sad, but we can make you happy again. Marcus looked at Sophia, who nodded through her tears. Okay, he whispered. I guess we're family. Elena threw her arms around his neck, and Marcus held her tight. This little girl who'd somehow adopted a broken billionaire as her own. A nurse entered. Mrs. Rodriguez, we're ready for you in pre-op. Sophia's face went pale. Already? It's time to fight, Dr. Park said, appearing behind the nurse. Are you ready? Sophia looked at Elena, at Maria, then at Marcus. Yes, I'm ready. They wheeled her toward the operating room. Elena walked alongside the gurney, holding her mother's hand. I'll be right here when you wake up, Elena promised. And so will Mr. Wellington. I love you, mija. I love you too, Mommy. Be brave. At the operating room doors, Sophia had to let go. Elena stood with Marcus and Maria, watching through the small window as Sophia disappeared inside. Mommy's going to be okay, right? Elena asked, her voice small and frightened. Marcus pulled her close. She's in the best hands in the world. Dr. Park is going to fight for her. And so are we. How do we fight? She asked, looking up at him with her big, beady eyes. We wait, hope, and believe. But most importantly, he crouched down to her level. We don't ever give up. The surgery lasted 7 hours. Marcus stayed the entire time. Elena curled up asleep in his lap, Maria dozing in a chair nearby. Nurses brought coffee and sandwiches. Other families came and went, their own dramas playing out in the sterile waiting room. Marcus thought about Catherine's surgery, how he'd sat in a similar room, making similar prayers to a God he wasn't sure he believed in, how the doctor had emerged with sad eyes and devastating news, How his world had ended in that moment. Please, he prayed silently. Please don't let it end that way for Elena. Let her keep her mother. Let Sophia survive. I'll give anything. I'll do anything. Just please, please let this work. Finally, Dr. Park emerged. She looked exhausted, but she was smiling. Marcus gently woke Elena. Dr. Park is here. Elena jumped up, instantly alert. Is Mommy okay? Dr. Park knelt down. Your mother is okay, little Elena. The surgery went better than I hoped. She got back to her feet to meet Marcus's eyes. We removed the primary tumor and it was cleaner than the scan suggested. She's going to be sore and tired for a while, but she made it through beautifully. Can I see her? Elena asked. She's in recovery right now. Give her another hour to wake up, then you can visit. But only for a few minutes. She needs rest. Elena hugged Dr. Park fiercely. Thank you for saving my mommy. Thank your friend Marcus. Without him, we wouldn't be here. Elena turned and hugged Marcus too. Thank you for being Santa. Marcus held her, his eyes meeting Dr. Park's over Elena's head. The doctor nodded slightly, a silent acknowledgement that they'd cleared the first hurdle. But there were more battles ahead. She's not out of the woods yet, Dr. Park said quietly to Marcus when Elena went to tell her grandmother the good news. The surgery was successful, but the immunotherapy is the real test. We'll know in a few weeks if her body responds. What can I do? Nothing except just be here. That little girl needs stability, and Sophia needs to know her daughter is cared for while she fights. Can you do that? Marcus thought about his empty mansion, his meaningless work, his hollow existence. Yes, he said. I can do that. Good. Because something tells me this family is going to change your life as much as you're changing theirs. Marcus looked at Elena, who was talking animatedly with her grandmother, her face bright with hope. They already have, he said softly. 3 weeks later, Sophia collapsed in the hospital bathroom. Elena was in the family lounge with Marcus, working on homework, when the code blue alarm sounded. Elena's head snapped up, her face draining of color. That's Mommy's floor, she whispered. Marcus grabbed her hand. Stay here with your grandmother. I'll go check. No. Elena pulled away and ran for the stairs. Marcus chased after her, his heart pounding. They burst through the stairwell door just as a team of doctors and nurses rushed into Sophia's room. Elena, wait. Marcus caught her before she could follow them inside. Let me go. That's my mommy. Elena screamed, fighting against his grip. Dr. Park emerged from the chaos, her face grave. She took one look at Elena's terrified face and pulled them both into a nearby consultation room. What happened? Marcus demanded. The surgery was successful. You said she was responding to treatment. She is responding. A little too well, actually. Dr. Park ran a hand through her hair. Her immune system is attacking the cancer aggressively, but it's also causing severe inflammation. Her body is essentially at war with itself. We need to adjust the treatment protocol immediately. Is she going to die? Elena's voice was barely audible. Dr. Park knelt down and took Elena's hands. I'm not going to let that happen. But your mom is very sick right now. The next 48 hours are critical. I need you to be strong for her, okay? I want to see her. She's unconscious right now. We've sedated her to reduce the stress on her body. But you can sit with her. Talk to her. She'll know you're there even as she's asleep. They let Elena into the room. Sophia lay motionless, connected to more machines than before, her skin pale and clammy. Elena climbed into the chair beside the bed and took her mother's hand. Mommy, it's me. I'm here. You have to fight, okay? You promised Dr. Park you wouldn't give up. You promised me. Her voice broke. Please don't leave me. Please. Marcus stood in the doorway, feeling helpless. This was Catherine all over again. The hope, the setback, the desperate prayers that went unanswered. His phone buzzed. David. How is she? He asked. Marcus stepped into the hallway to respond. Critical. Treatment caused complications. The next 48 hours will determine everything. Do you want me to fly out? No. But pray. It's all we can do at this point. Marcus leaned against the wall, exhausted. He'd been in Baltimore for 3 weeks, barely sleeping, living at the hospital. His company was managing without him. His life in San Francisco felt like something that belonged to someone else. Maria approached, carrying coffee. You should go back to the hotel. Get some real sleep. I can't leave them. Marcus, you've done so much already. But you're running yourself into the ground. You won't be any help to Elena if you collapse. I promised Elena I'd be here. And you have been. Every single day. Every single night. Maria's eyes were kind. My daughter is lucky to have you fighting for her. And Elena is lucky to have you. But you matter too. Before Marcus could respond, Elena appeared in the doorway, tears streaming down her face. Mr. Wellington, Mommy squeezed my hand. Just a little bit. I think she's still fighting. Marcus pulled Elena into his arms. Of course she is. Your mom is the strongest person I know. Will you stay? Please? I'm scared to be alone. I'm not going anywhere. They returned to Sophia's room. Marcus settled into the uncomfortable chair in the corner, while Elena climbed onto the bed beside her mother, careful not to disturb the tubes and wires. Tell me a story, Elena whispered. Like you used to tell Sarah. Marcus's throat tightened. You want to hear about Sarah? Yes. I want to know about your family. So Marcus talked. He told Elena about Catherine, how she was brilliant, funny, and fierce, about how they'd met in college, fallen in love over shared pizzas and late-night study sessions, about their wedding day, when Catherine had written her own vows and made everyone cry. He told her about Sarah. She was curious, creative, full of life and questions. Sarah loved Christmas, Marcus said softly. She'd start planning in September. She made decorations, wrote letters to Santa, and sang carols constantly. Catherine used to joke that we'd given birth to an elf. Elena smiled through her tears. She sounds wonderful. She was. The last Christmas we had together, Sarah asked Santa for only one thing, for her mother to get better. And when Catherine died on Christmas Eve, Sarah blamed herself. She thought she hadn't believed hard enough, or that she hadn't been good enough. No matter what I said, she carried that guilt. Is that why you helped us? Elena asked quietly. Because you didn't want me to feel like Sarah did. Yes, when you came to me asking for a miracle, I saw Sarah. And I couldn't let you experience what she experienced. I couldn't let you lose your mother without fighting with everything I had. But you lost Sarah too. Marcus nodded, tears sliding down his face. She stopped eating, stopped sleeping. 6 months after Catherine died, Sarah just faded away. The doctors called it failure to thrive. But I think she died of a broken heart. And I couldn't stop it. Elena reached out and took his hand. It wasn't your fault. It didn't matter. I was her father. I should have protected her. You can't protect people from everything. That's what Mommy always tells me. Bad things happen sometimes. But it doesn't mean we stop trying, or that we stop loving people. Marcus stared at the 7-year-old child, who somehow understood grief better than most adults. When did you get so wise? Mommy says I was born old. Elena looked at her mother's still face. She has to wake up, Mr. Wellington. She has to. I need her. I know, sweetheart. I know. They sat in silence, holding vigil. Hours passed. Nurses came and went, checking vitals, adjusting medications. Dr. Park stopped by every few hours with updates. At 3 a.m., Elena finally fell asleep, curled up beside her mother. Marcus covered her with a blanket and took his position in the chair, determined to stay awake in case anything changed. His eyes drifted closed. Marcus. The voice was so soft he thought he'd imagined it. But when he opened his eyes, Sophia was awake, watching him with tired but clear eyes. Sophia, you're awake. Marcus jumped up and pressed the call button for the nurse. How do you feel? Like I was hit by a truck. Her voice was raspy. Where's Elena? She's right here, sleeping beside you. She hasn't left your side. Sophia's eyes filled with tears as she looked at her daughter. I scared her. Honestly, you scared all of us. I'm sorry. Dr. Park warned me there might be complications, but I didn't think. She trailed off, her gaze returning to Marcus. Wait, why are you still here? You should be in San Francisco, living your life. This is my life now. You and Elena. You're my family, remember? Elena said so, and I believe her. Marcus, you barely know us. You don't owe us anything more than you've already given. I'm not here out of obligation. I'm here because for the first time in a year, I have a reason to wake up in the morning. Because Elena reminds me of Sarah and you remind me of Catherine, but I know you're not them. You're your own people with your own story, and somehow I've become part of that story. And I don't want to leave. Sophia reached out weakly and took his hand. Thank you. For everything. For saving my life. For taking care of Elena. For being here when you could be anywhere else. There's nowhere else I'd rather be. The nurse arrived, followed quickly by Dr. Park. Welcome back, Sophia, Dr. Park said with a tired smile. You gave us quite a scare. Sorry about that. Don't apologize. Your body is doing exactly what it should be doing. Fighting. We've adjusted your treatment protocol. The inflammation should decrease over the next few days, and then we'll continue with a modified version of the immunotherapy. It'll be slower, but way safer. How much longer until we know if it's working? Another month, maybe 6 weeks. But Sophia, the fact that your immune system responded so aggressively to the cancer cells is actually a very good sign. It means the treatment is working. We just need to find the right balance. Over the next month, Sophia slowly improved. The inflammation decreased, and her strength returned. Elena went back to school, a private academy near the hospital that Marcus had arranged, complete with tutoring to help her catch up. Maria flew back to San Francisco to handle their apartment and Sophia's medical leave paperwork, returning every weekend. And Marcus stayed. He rented a furnished apartment near Johns Hopkins, set up a remote office, and managed Wellington Tech from Baltimore. David flew out twice for meetings, but mostly Marcus worked via video conference, discovering that he didn't need to be physically present to run his company. What he needed was to be present for Elena and Sophia. He attended Elena's school concerts and parent-teacher conferences. He played board games with her in the hospital cafeteria. He sat with Sophia during her treatment sessions, distracting her from the nausea and pain with stories about his travels, his work, his life before grief consumed him. You're different now, Marcus, Sophia observed one afternoon during a treatment session. Way different from the man Elena met on Christmas Eve. How so? He asked with a small chuckle. See, right there. You smile more now. You laugh. You look alive again. Marcus considered this. I guess you and Elena woke me up. I'd been sleepwalking through life, just existing. But Elena needed me to be present, to be strong, to be the person Sarah and Catherine believed I could be. So I became that person again. We're lucky to have you. No, Marcus interjected. I'm the lucky one. 6 weeks after Sophia's collapse, Dr. Park called them all into her office. Marcus, Sophia, Elena, and Maria sat nervously, waiting for the results of Sophia's latest scans. Dr. Park pulled up images on her computer screen. These are your original scans from December. As you can see, the cancer are all over your bones, lungs, and liver. Sophia gripped Elena's hand tightly. And these, Dr. Park clicked to new images, are your scans from yesterday. The room fell silent as they stared at the screens. I don't see anything, Elena whispered. Exactly. Dr. Park turned to face them, her eyes bright. The cancer is gone. Completely gone. Sophia, you're in remission. The words hung in the air for a moment of stunned disbelief. Then Sophia broke down sobbing. Elena threw herself into her mother's arms, crying and laughing simultaneously. Maria covered her face with her hands, her shoulders shaking. And Marcus stood frozen, unable to process what he'd just heard. They'd done it. Against all odds, they'd actually done it. Are you sure? Sophia choked out. Are you completely sure? We'll continue monitoring you closely for the next 5 years. There's always a chance of recurrence with aggressive cancers like yours. But right now, at this moment, you are cancer-free. You beat it, Sophia. You actually beat it. Sophia looked at Marcus through her tears. We beat it. We all did. Together. Elena jumped up and hugged Marcus around the waist. We got our miracle. We really got our Christmas miracle. Marcus held Elena tight, and for the first time in over a year, he felt something he'd forgotten still existed. Pure, uncomplicated joy. 3 months later, Marcus stood in his San Francisco penthouse, packing the last of his belongings. The movers had already taken most of his furniture. What remained were photographs, memories, and ghosts. Are you sure about this? David asked from the doorway. I'm sure. Marcus answered without hesitation. You're really moving to Baltimore? Leaving Wellington Tech headquarters? I'm not leaving the company. I'm just running it from a different location. Besides, you'll be here. The board is strong, and if need be, I can always fly back for important meetings. This is about Sophia and Elena, isn't it? This is about family. Marcus picked up the photograph of Catherine and Sarah. I spent a year mourning what I lost. It's time to celebrate what I found. David smiled. Catherine would approve. I think so too. Later that evening, Marcus stood outside a small house in a Baltimore suburb. It wasn't a mansion. It wasn't ostentatious. It was a simple, 3-bedroom home with a backyard and a white fence. Sophia answered the door, looking healthy and radiant. Her hair had grown back. Her smile reached her eyes. Welcome home, she said. Marcus stepped inside. Elena ran down the stairs, wearing pajamas covered in snowflakes, even though it was March. Mr. Wellington, come see my room. Mom let me paint it purple. Purple is an excellent choice. He concurred. Elena grabbed his hand and pulled him upstairs. Her room was indeed purple, with glow-in-the-dark stars on the ceiling and drawings that covered the walls. On her nightstand sat a photograph, Marcus, Sophia, Elena, and Maria at Christmas, all of them smiling. I put you in the family picture section, Elena explained, because you're family now. For real. For real, Marcus agreed, his voice thick with emotion. They went downstairs for dinner. Maria had cooked homemade tamales and rice. They sat around the small kitchen table, passing dishes and sharing stories about their day. It was ordinary. It was beautiful. It was everything Marcus had lost and found again. After dinner, Elena pulled out a board game. 2 teams. Me and Mr. Wellington against Mom and Grandma. They played for hours, laughing at bad dice rolls and celebrating victories. When Elena finally fell asleep on the couch, Sophia carried her upstairs while Marcus helped Maria clean up. Thank you, Maria said quietly, for giving me my daughter back, and for giving Elena her mother. Now we've become the family we needed. Marcus smiled softly. Thank you for letting me in. After Maria went to bed, Sophia and Marcus sat on the back porch, watching fireflies dance in the warm evening air. I got my final scan results yesterday, Sophia said. Still clear. Dr. Park says I'm officially past the critical period. The cancer is really gone. That's wonderful news. I've been thinking about what to do next. I want to go back to nursing, but I also want to help other families going through what we went through. I was thinking maybe I could work with your foundation, help identify patients who need grants. Maybe use my medical knowledge to make sure the money goes where it'll do the most good. Marcus turned to her in surprise. You'd want to do that? I obviously know what it's like to be desperate and hopeless. I know what it's like to have someone show up and offer a miracle when you've given up. If I can help give that gift to someone else, then I want to. Sophia, that would be incredible. The foundation needs someone who understands the patient perspective, someone who's lived through it. Then it's settled. Partners? Marcus held out his hand. Partners? But Sophia didn't shake his hand. Instead, she leaned over and kissed his cheek. Thank you, Marcus, for everything. Marcus felt his heart stutter. Sophia, I know it's complicated. I know we started this in crisis mode. But these past few months, watching you with Elena, seeing you come back to life, I don't know. Maybe I'm crazy. Maybe it's too soon. But I think maybe we could be more than just friends. More than just partners in the foundation. If you wanted. Someday. Marcus looked at this woman who'd fought death and won. Who'd taken his broken pieces and helped him become whole again. Who'd given him a reason to live when he'd forgotten why life mattered. I'd like that, he said softly. Someday soon. They sat in comfortable silence, watching the fireflies, 2 people who'd survived impossible darkness finding their way toward light together. Upstairs, Elena stirred in her sleep and smiled, dreaming of Christmas miracles and families that were built not by blood, but by love. 1 year later, Christmas Eve, Marcus stood in the lobby of St. Mary's Children's Hospital wearing a Santa suit. But this time, Sophia stood beside him dressed as Mrs. Claus, and Elena wore an elf costume, clipboard in hand, organizing the line of waiting children. Next, Elena called out cheerfully. A little boy approached, maybe 6 years old, his eyes wide with hope. "Hello there," Marcus said warmly. "What's your name?" "Tommy. I want to ask you for something special." "Of course. What is it?" Tommy looked at his parents, then back at Marcus. "My sister is really sick. The doctors say she needs an operation, but it costs a lot of money. Can you help her? Please." Marcus glanced at Sophia, who nodded. Elena made a note on her clipboard. "Tommy," Marcus said gently, "I want you to give your parents this card. It has information about a foundation that helps families just like yours. They're going to make sure your sister gets the operation she needs." Tommy's face lit up. "Really? You promise?" "I promise. I want you to know that Christmas miracles are real. I know this because I've seen them happen." As Tommy and his family walked away, Sophia squeezed Marcus's hand. "I sure never gets old." "No, it doesn't," she giggled. Elena tugged on Marcus's sleeve. "Dad, there are still 20 more kids waiting. Let's keep going." Marcus's heart swelled. Elena had started calling him Dad 3 months ago, casually, as if he'd always been her father. Sophia had asked if it bothered him, worried it might diminish his memories of Sarah. But Marcus had realized something important. Love didn't have limits. You could honor the past while embracing the future. Sarah would always be his daughter, but Elena was his daughter too. There was room in his heart for both. "You're right, sweetheart. Let's keep going." They worked until midnight, seeing every single child, taking every single wish seriously. The Sarah Wellington Foundation had grown exponentially, helping over 50 families in the past year. Sophia ran the patient outreach program. Elena volunteered after school, writing cards to kids going through treatment. As they packed up, the hospital director approached. "Mr. and Mrs. Wellington, thank you for another beautiful evening." The children loved it. Mrs. Wellington. They'd gotten married in August, a small ceremony in their backyard with just family and close friends. Elena had been the flower girl. David was the best man. Dr. Park officiated. Marcus pulled Sophia close as they walked to their car, Elena skipping ahead of them, her elf hat jingling with bells. "What are you thinking about?" Sophia asked. "I'm thinking about how 2 years ago I wanted to die. I had everything money could buy and nothing that mattered. And then a little girl asked me for a miracle, and instead of giving her one, she gave me one. She gave me back my life." "We gave each other miracles," Sophia corrected. "That's how it works. That's how it's supposed to work." Elena turned back to them, illuminated by Christmas lights. "Come on, slowpokes. Grandma's making hot chocolate, and I want to open one present before bed." Marcus and Sophia laughed and hurried to catch up with their daughter, their fierce, wonderful, miraculous daughter who'd believed in impossible things and made them come true. As they drove home through the snowy streets, Marcus thought about Catherine and Sarah. He thought about grief and loss and the terrible weight of helplessness. But mostly he thought about hope, about second chances, about how sometimes the darkest moments lead to the brightest futures, and about how sometimes when a little girl asks Santa for a Christmas miracle, Santa gets one too. If this story touched your heart, please like this video and subscribe to our channel for more inspiring stories about hope, miracles, and the power of human kindness. Share this with someone who needs to believe in miracles today. Drop a comment below telling us about a time someone helped you when you needed it most. Your story might inspire someone else. Remember, we all have the power to be someone's miracle. The question is, will we answer the call? Thank you for watching, and may your Christmas season be filled with hope, love, and unexpected miracles. God bless you all.